Welcome to America Salutes. My name is Milton Schoen, and today we're going to be discussing the City of Minneapolis's Beyond the Yellow Ribbon efforts. And today we have Minneapolis Police Captain Larry Doyle as a guest and City Council Member Sandra Colvin-Roy. Sandy, why don't you explain your interest in Beyond the Yellow Ribbon and the City of Minneapolis's effort?
Well, to start with, I want to make sure everybody knows it's a Minnesota Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program, and the City of Minneapolis was approached last year by the Minnesota National Guard organizers of it, and my interest probably stems from two sources. My father, a Navy veteran, had us always saluting when the flag was on and TV was going off the air, which I know dates me, but my husband is a veteran of Vietnam. And it's pretty widely known now that the way soldiers were greeted or not greeted when they came home from Vietnam was the opposite of supportive. So when the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon campaign approached the City of Minneapolis to become a Yellow Ribbon community, I was immediately interested and very happy to be approached. And if I can fit this in,
sure.
This program started here in Minnesota by the National Guard Senior Chaplain Morris, who I understand is now a colonel, started the program. And it's been used as a model by President, Michelle Obama. You know, some of us. Anyway, some of us could vote for Michelle too, you know. She used it, looked at the program here as a great model for going national, which she has done. And I just wanted to brag that up a little bit for, you know, it's homegrown here in Minnesota, but it's spreading.
You know, and it's a supportive model. And Captain Doyle, do you want to tell us a little bit about your interest in this?
Sure. I was approached by then Chief Dolan, who was one of the attendees of the first meetings that talked about this program coming to Minneapolis. And my interest is, I'm a veteran. I served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. I've since retired, but I was also a battalion commander for both deployments. So I've personally experienced the hardship involved in deploying a soldier overseas, the hardship for the families, what the soldiers go through when they come back. And this program I see as a way to obviously help those soldiers that are deployed once they come back, but it goes beyond that. It also assists active duty members who may be stationed somewhere else and their family members are here in Minneapolis. So it touches a lot of people in this particular program.
And that's an important point, that it's not just the National Guard. This is a supportive program for active duty military, for other veterans, and people who are in the reserves or whatever component they happen to be in. That's
correct. It's not just a veterans program. It's, as you said, active duty, reserve, National Guard, and the family members of those service members, which is very important. A lot of times when you deploy, the soldiers, you know, they get a lot of attention, but the family members are sometimes stuck with chores or bills that they normally would not have to deal with. So the Yellow Ribbon program can assist them as well, which is very important.
And the thing that's changed from my day, when we had a draft and we had more universal service, is many more people in our community served. And so military service is a little more unique, and as a county veteran service officer, what's unique is seeing people do second tours and third tours. So there's a more substantial burden placed on fewer people.
You know, the National Guard actually did a survey of their active members. I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 years ago. And what they learned from the soldiers is that their biggest concern was for their families that they left behind and the burdens on those families. So that is part of the very foundation of this program, is to have the community be supportive of the families. And a lot of times they don't reach out. They'll just struggle along trying to handle whatever the burdens are. So part of the goal of creating a Yellow Ribbon community is to have people understand, again, that there's support out there for them, their community supports them, And just that feeling and that knowledge apparently is really important.
And the city has got attacking this from a number of different levels, because you have city employees, police, fire, other employees.
Oh,
who
they're
are
in every
deployed.
department.
But you have a substantial number of people who are deployed and they come back, so this is important for them. And we also have a substantial number of citizens who may work for private employers and that are in our community that need to get reconnected and to deal with the issues that they face as they come back.
So the way we're going about this in Minneapolis may be a little different than some of the smaller cities around the state, but there are quite a few Minnesota cities now that are yellow ribbon communities. And it's really not a city government focused structure. It is a steering committee puts together a plan, and we're just taking the lead with the support of city coordinator Paul Ossen in getting the steering committee together. So there will be Captain Doyle from the police department, a few other leaders from the city, but U.S. Bank and Target and Wells Fargo are all already yellow ribbon businesses who are coming to the steering committee. We've reached out to some of the veterans organizations, the Minneapolis Public Schools, because we've heard that sometimes the parent left with the kids has trouble connecting. You know, school systems can be complicated too, and sometimes the kids need support right in the classroom. So the steering committee will have members from several aspects of the community, and then their goal, their job, is to create a plan for how we can not create new programs, but a plan for reaching out, making sure that eligible, any veterans and their families, whether they're active duty, deployed, can be aware of the programs, and even if they're not, how can someone in their community know about it and reach out to the Yellow Ribbon?
Well, I recall when the first batch of major deployment of Red Bulls came back in 2007, we were happy that we were not in recession. Yeah. And subsequently we've had the recession, so it's good to know that our major corporate employers are on board with this program, because there's nothing more critical than individuals being successful in the employment market when they return.
Yep, absolutely.
The other aspect of the program is to make sure that the different public services have a level of training that they receive in order to support an issue that they come across, a veteran or active military member. As you mentioned, a veterans court as an example. As a captain of the police department, I'm in charge of our training unit. So we've already done some training to our officers on how to deal with a veteran that they may come across, traffic stops and such like that, but we would expand that to meet the Yellow Ribbon standard. In order to become a Yellow Ribbon city, there are certain standards that we will have to meet according to what they've established in this program. So that's one of the things we'll concentrate on. I also wanted to mention Chaplain Morris. I've known him for many years, and really the premise for him starting this program was the fact that Minnesota does not have an active duty post. So normally if you're down in Carolina, Fort Bragg, if you have members that deploy, the family members can oftentimes get a lot of support from the active duty base. So this is kind of a way to create a system in which people can get support, not from an active duty installation, but from the community instead.
Yeah, well, that's a very important point, because our county veteran service officers, when the Red Bulls came back, we helped them demobilize, sign up for VA health care, did a combat theater questionnaire, sent that exactly back to their counties so they can be served, because they weren't coming back to an active duty military environment. They didn't have that support of being on post and having all those resources. Mm-hmm. And this is an interesting concept to say we are going to make sure that there will be resources to help people make that adjustment. Mm-hmm. And the person that's deployed and their child is 11 or 12, when they go in and they come back from deployment, all of a sudden they've got a teenager, and in some sense they may become the enemy. That there are all those issues that come up, and I'm sure you've done that in your work and both in the military and at the city of Minneapolis. Yes,
and the other thing, the reason why I believe Minneapolis is a no-brainer to become a yellow ribbon is because of we already have a great established 311 system in which people can call and find out about city services. So incorporating them into the yellow ribbon program will be essential, because 311 could have certain support systems or programs that they know about that they can direct people towards. And so folks can call 311 and get a lot of the information that way once we establish the program.
That's right. We just the way 311 works is these operators now have a huge catalog of information. So when you call 311 and you get someone to answer the phone, they can go on their computer and find a lot of resources. So that is, like Captain Doyle said, a no-brainer for how we can work in the city of Minneapolis. I'm thinking of snow. Time of the year, plus, I work a lot with our Public Works Department, and last winter was not enough snow to really check it out, but we have started working with some helping organizations to so that seniors or those who physically can't get out and shovel their own snow can put in a call and get some help with it. Well, I can well imagine that a parent left back at home handling all of the duties alone could find a blizzard to be a problem. So just getting our public works up and running and organizing that connection is just a very practical way that the city could help.
And a clarifying point that this is not just for veterans or the deployed, but it's also can provide assistance to families, because
Yes.
that's where many of the issues arise during deployment and during separation
Right.
of families.
Right.
Correct.
And
So we wanted to make sure that anybody watching knows about the website. I don't know whether you want to put that up at the
Sure.
end or...
we can put it up now.
Okay, beyondtheyellowribbon.org. And you can find, that will be the statewide organization, but you can connect through there with any of the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon communities. You won't find Minneapolis there yet, because they do have standards for this program, and we're just working through the steering committee and putting in place the plan. Our goal is to have a big announcement next summer that we've qualified as a Beyond the Yellow Ribbon community. But in the meantime, either going to that website, or if someone is in Minneapolis specific and wants to make a connection, they can call my office, which is at 612-673-2212, and we'll connect them with what's going on. We're looking for companies to join. You don't have to be a giant company to know that hiring a military veteran, for instance, who's had responsibility beyond what they can find in most jobs back here would make a great employee. And you highlighted that earlier, I think, that when someone comes back, they need to be well employed in order to support themselves and their families. So we're looking for other companies to join.
Well, Captain, an individual who may have been working at Starbucks or some service job comes back after having made life and death decisions. And have you found that the people that have served under you are in a different position coming back with more skills?
One of the things that kind of frustrates me sometimes is when people talk about the younger generation and how it's not the same as we used to be. But I tell you, during my deployment, both in Afghanistan and Iraq, these young 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that I deployed with were heroes in my mind. I mean, the things that they had to go through before deployment and during their deployment, and the leadership that they showed will go beyond what they did overseas and can help out any industry that decides to hire them.
Very good. Well, with that, I think our time has come to an end. I want to thank you for appearing on America Salutes, and we want to thank our viewers, and we hope this has been informative for you.